Hey, I'm back here with Beau Eckstein again. We're going to talk about the top 5 business models you can buy in 2025 with SBA financing. Hey, Beau, how's it going?
It's going well.
Hey, so let's get right into it. You're going to be breaking down the top 5 business models you can finance up to 90% with SBA loans. What makes these particular models stand out for 2025?
I think most of them that we're going to talk about, if actually all of them, don't require a brick and mortar location. I think that was one of them, and they're all pretty low cost startup. No brick and mortar location. Some of these businesses you can operate with no geographic footprint, meaning you could do business anywhere, at least 2 of these business models, and low overhead. Some of them have recurring revenue. These to me are representative of franchises, and one of them's actually not a franchise, is a business opportunity, but they're kind of a eclectic group of business models that I feel are good business models that I feel will do well for years to come. And each one of them, there's a reason for, and as we break them down, I can go through those points on each of the business models.
The business models you have in mind are payroll franchise, commercial painting, coffee, medical staffing, and custom closet. So let's talk about the payroll franchise first. Payroll franchises may not be flashy, and they're not, but they seem real solid. Can you explain why payroll services are such a strong play right now?
The reason I like this business model, one, it's low startup cost. Obviously, that always helps. You're talking 77,000 to about 112 is your investment range on the item 7. So let's just call it $100,000. Essentially, if you can get 90% financing, that's a $10,000 equity injection or down payment. So obviously, that's good for some people because a lot of people don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars. So easy entry, no brick and mortar location. You do get assigned a territory, but you can also do business anywhere in the U.S. So, for example, if you got customer that had multiple locations throughout the U.S., you could service all of those locations, which opens up the door. So you're not confined by a footprint. The other thing I like about it is there's a category king, but they have 60% customer satisfaction, and this particular franchise has a 90% customer satisfaction. It's a recurring revenue business model, so that's another thing I like about it. And you need very minimal staff, so you can start with yourself and one part-time payroll processor who's essentially got skills like a bank teller. It's not heavy accounting or anything. You're using a very sophisticated software that does a lot of the heavy lifting. And then a business like this is very sellable once you develop it. And I like that aspect of it. And I like the aspect that I could run this business anywhere. I could be on vacation at the beach, and I could have my laptop and phone, and I could be handling business. My payroll processor could work anywhere. They have very good training and support. I believe that if you have a business development type of mentality and you're not afraid to talk to people, this would be a great business. I think you need somebody to build relationships with CPAs and referral partners and not be afraid. But the second or third, I can't remember exactly, it was either the second or third most outsourced thing that a small business outsources, if I said that kind of in a long-winded way, is payroll, right? So there's 90% of all businesses are small businesses. This franchise model works with companies that have anywhere from 2 to 100 employees. The sweet spot is usually 8 to 12 different employees. So the big category kings don't really focus on these smaller companies, and customers support is very crucial because obviously it's very frustrating when people aren't getting paychecks and stuff. So they really focus on the customer satisfaction and building relationships. And once again, this is one of the most outsourced things that a small business outsources. So I believe that, if you look at AI, will AI impact? I think AI will impact it positively just from the ease of onboarding people and different things. And I think that with the amount of new businesses forming, that there's always a need for payroll processing. So I think it is recession resilient. So that's my take on why I think this is a good business model. I think it's easily scalable and an easy business model to run because I'm always looking at the pain points, and that's why I like this. So that's basically the high level overview of that business model.
All right. Let's move on to the commercial painting franchise. It sounds simple, but there's big money behind it. What's the advantage of going into commercial painting versus residential?
There's a lot of franchises in the painting space, but there's not any that I can think of besides this brand that does focuses 100% of their efforts on commercial. So when you think about commercial paint jobs, the average ticket is way higher than doing a residential job. So that means you could do less jobs and make more money. And you're talking about their corporate office does. I've seen some of their contracts in their brochure. They've done $1 million contracts, right, where they're doing these huge 500 unit multifamily properties, et cetera. So there's money to be made. It's a subcontractor business model, so you don't actually have to have workers working for you as far as painters. You're using subcontractors. They have methods to get the best subs out there. So you don't have much operating expenses. Obviously, you have your general insurance and your marketing and your various software fees. You don't need a big staff. You can start with yourself in the beginning. This is a legacy business that can do high revenue. Their flagship corporate office actually does, they've been around for a long time. So, I mean, it's kind of skewed, but they did $14 million in top line revenue. Obviously they've been around since 2007 or so. I mean, it's a long time, but the point is that, these businesses can get really big. They're an emerging franchise. They have about 10 open locations at this time, which means there's a lot of footprint, a lot of open footprint. And this is really for somebody that's going to be full time in the business. You don't need a brick and mortar location. Pretty low overhead. Investment range is, easy to obtain. It's not a big buy-in. Depending if you do one or two territories, you're going to be anywhere from, this is just rough numbers, 150 to 200,000 all in investment with working capital. And I think that the reason I like this one, it doesn't have the recurring revenue, but I think that there's a wide open footprint for this, wide open territories, and the average ticket is pretty significant. And I think this could be a good producing business for the right person and to bring in, and the potential profit margins are very significant as well because you don't have a lot of staff. So another great business model that I believe, up, down, whatever the economy is doing, if you own a multifamily property with 300 doors and you need to paint it every few years, it's just, you're going to do that in an up or down market. It just needs to be done. So anything commercial, churches, schools, those kind of things, they all need to be painted.
Talk about if there are any seasonality risks with this model, like weather and seasons and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, in some of the East Coast markets that get a lot of snow during the winter, I would probably say that would be a slower time. There's some considerations there, but I think that's probably when you're doing your quotes and you're getting ready for like when season opens. But yeah, I think that's where seasonality. I mean, if you look here on the West Coast, you're not going to have seasonality issues. Maybe in certain states where it rains a lot, but anywhere on the West Coast, you really don't deal with snow as much in most of the markets. So I think that would be the one consideration, your market. And like during those times, you're doing a lot of business development and building, getting quotes and lining up jobs. So you're busy during your peak season.
All right. I know you're keen on this one coffee franchise that doesn't require a storefront. How does that model work, and why is recurring revenue such a game changer in that model?
I like this, another lower cost investment range. It's a flexible business. You can have a technician that goes out. So basically, you build relationships with companies that have employees and they need coffee, and you have your coffee machines in there. It bills the employer. The employer fits the bill for their staff, right? And then you spend about 1 hour per week per machine. A lot of the owners in this business model, they just have a tech that does all that stuff. And then you have to scale. That's I think like 45 minutes per machine per month. And then everything's tracked. So, when every cup that's poured, whatever the cost they charge, I think it's $1 or less than $1 to the employer. So once you get inside and you service and do a good job with the coffee, and the coffee is really good, proprietary bean cut, they brew it on the East Coast. So it's their own brand, and it's good, and it's not like junky coffee. And as you know, if you go to Starbucks, the people love their coffee. And so you see this more and more. And so I like it. So the idea of this business is you go and you build accounts. You know, with these business owners, the more machines you put out, you service them, and then they're customers for life, and that's recurring revenue. So, and then if you run it where you're having a technician do all the work, then you're obviously only spending, you know, initially you're building and getting the coffee machines placed. They do a good job with training. I think this business can help people that have maybe they have a W-2 and they're looking for something a little bit more flexible. I think this business does it. You don't need a big staff. You need one other person, or you could do it yourself. Investment range is pretty simple to get into. And I believe this business model is poised to grow because, I mean, I go to Starbucks almost every day, and it's a ripoff, but I'm, you know, spending $4 for a misto, which is just steamed milk and a coffee. And people are going back to work now. So what do people want to do? They want to drink coffee at work. And so I think employers, something that they would do, so they don't have to deal with it and with like their Keurig machines, that those things are usually just, you know, wasting all those little pods unless they're recyclable. So you're not dealing with any of that. So you're not putting a lot of waste out there. So I think all in all, I think this is a good business model. It's very simple, and you can have a technician service the machines. They could fix any problems that come around. So I think you could be, if you're a same kind of thing, a business development type person, not afraid to talk to business owners, then this would be a good business model for you. It's pretty simple. Not a lot of moving parts.
Real quick, how does SBA financing work for a subscription-based model like this where there isn't any real estate involved?
Yeah, we finance deals all the time without real estate. The SBA 7A, you don't need collateral. If it's under 500,000, we don't have to look for additional collateral to loan amount. So as long as this franchise is SBA eligible with a bank, then it's fine. So I have a candidate looking at this business model right now. So I just reached out to one of the banks I work with that does loans up to 150. They're more of kind of an SBA Express loan, to see if they would approve this. So an SBA Express loan will work on this, and you can usually do about 90% financing. You don't need real estate. You don't need collateral. And you can build all the costs. We call it total project cost. So let's say franchise fee, working capital was 150 grand. That's your total project cost. We can finance 80 to 90% of that, including 3, 4, 5, 6 months of working capital.
Cool. Let's talk medical staffing. I think this is the one that's not a franchise, but it's more of a business opportunity. Healthcare staffing seems to be exploding. What makes this such a hot business for 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers. I just pulled an IFA report, and actually the franchise businesses out there, which I would include the business opportunities as well, even going into this recession was pretty interesting on what their anticipation for the growth of this industry and employment growth and all the things, and more units being open. So in healthcare, especially up down market, you know, people need healthcare. People are getting older. There's more people getting older. What this business model does is they place all different healthcare services. I mean, from doctors, traveling nurses, respiratory, assisted living facilities, everything medical. Like, they do over 150 different placements. They do permanent and temporary staffing. They also do traveling nurses and those types of gigs. And so, permanent placement, this business model, if any of you are familiar with staffing models or recruiting models, typically a recruiter gets paid a certain percentage of the first year of salary. So just think, if you placed a doctor and their salary was $200,000 and you made a 15 to 20% fee, they're pretty significant. And then on the staffing, on the temporary staffing side, that's basically an arbitrage game, meaning a hospital needs a respiratory technician. I'm just making this up. And you're billing the hospital at $100 an hour, and you're paying them $60 an hour. So you're essentially, your company's arbitraging $40 an hour. That could be a week project. That could be a month. That could be 5 months. That could be 4 or 5 years that you're making that spread on the temporary staffing. So that is a component of recurring revenue. This business model has been around for over 30 years. It's got extremely good support. There's no ongoing fees. It's just you pay an upfront fee and they train you ongoing and you learn this business. Most people getting into this business don't have any medical background and don't have any recruiting background. They have open contracts that you fill. One of the gentlemen I work with, he actually placed his best friend into this business model and he's doing very, very well. So I think it's very strong. It validates extremely well. As when you call validation is basically you call other people that own the business. There's 275 owners or more throughout the nation. It's non-brick and mortar. You can eventually hire recruiters to work underneath your umbrella and grow a massive team. And you don't have any geographic restrictions. You need two people really. Once you get up and running, you need somebody that's talking to people, and then you need somebody that's more clerical doing the paperwork and so forth. Pretty simple paperwork. So simple business model, relatively low startup costs, and it is SBA financeable. So that's why it's one of my favorite businesses.
All right. Let's move on to a custom closet franchise you really like. So home services are booming. How does a custom closet franchise fit into that trend, and what's the typical ramp-up time for a new owner?
Well, first of all, I like this business model because I like the ownership or the leadership team. They've been in franchising for 30 years. They've been a franchisee. They've built franchises, as an employee of a franchise. They've been a franchise owner of several different brands. And so this particular brand that does custom closets, they don't have a manufacturer warehouse. So the product gets shipped direct to the client. They realize that the industry, although there's other franchises in the custom closet space, is very fragmented. So very low investment range, but where they really excel is their tech. They realize that most buyers nowadays don't want to do the old school sales process. So everything can be shown on an iPad. You can go and you could actually show them renderings of what the configurations will be, on the spot, basically, once they get the general measurements. So a lot of the buyers today, like the millennial buyers that are, they don't really want to deal with people if they don't have to. They want to just do it online and make a decision. And so the other cool thing is they've got in this business model, it's really growing fast. They've got franchise owners that are like 21 years old that are crushing it. They've got other franchise owners that are 65. So I think it's a really good fit. The average ticket price per sale is pretty significant. And then most of your labor is contract. You have a contract designer and then a contract installer. So you don't need a big staff. You don't need a brick and mortar location. And there's some owners that have hit $1 million top line revenue in their first year. So I think there's a lot of upside potential, and it fits the whole home service industry. And most people that are buying new homes, one of the things they get done first is they go and they don't have the builder do it because the builder charges them, obscene amount of money to do custom closets, right? When you buy new, so you're seeing a lot of that. They're building relationships with home builders and real estate agents and so forth, and they have really good marketing. This franchise has extremely good marketing. I would say they realized early on people invest in a franchise in the home service. And one of the factors is how franchisor, how are you going to help me get business? And I think they do an extremely good job of that. So that's another big thing with this business model. And your all-in investment range is maybe 150, 170 grand. So you could do 90% financing. So another lower startup cost where you can leverage SBA. You can get in the business for 15, 20 grand out of pocket. And it's a business that you could scale quickly and get positive quickly if you are a go-getter. So it just fits the industry. I like these non-brick and mortar home service B2B business models, what most people are looking for. And what I really think about this one is that they really are a step above on the marketing. And I think that's critical for a lot of people coming from corporate. They don't understand marketing really to a high level, most of them. So that's where really they need to invest in a good business model, but they also need that marketing support because that's not going to probably be the strength of somebody that's been in corporate not doing marketing. So that's my 5 business models for 2025 that I think people should take a look at. Now, some of these business models are more geared for people that are go-getters, meaning they're okay being the mayor of town, shaking hands, kissing babies, talking to people. Some of them, if you're more introverted, maybe the coffee business would be okay because that's so simple. But you got to find a business model that aligns with you. I mean, I think most businesses out there, even if you're a little bit introverted, you have to be able to talk to your employees and talk to people. It's none of these businesses are by any means heavy sales at all. It's all consultative, but we have all sorts of business models. That's why we give you these business assessments and we have deep dive conversations with you, because there's not one size fits all. We got to have you go through the assessments. We do an intake with you, and then we can figure out what type of business makes more sense. And it might be a in the pet care industry. It could be a business in the window tinting business, automotive, health and wellness. So there's lots of things out there, but I think these 5 businesses stick out to me as going to be growth businesses in 2025. If you have any questions, go to bookwithbeau.com. Hi guys, Beau Eckstein here, and I'm with Baby Beau. Baby Beau is just a little over 4 months. He's my first child, my wife and I. So if you want to create legacy for your family, I highly suggest you go to our Business Ownership Summit. You can find all the events we're doing. Primarily, they're all free. You can go to beaueckstein.com/events. And I hope to see you at one of our events where we teach business ownership, how to leverage SBA financing, tax strategies. I'm not a CPA and an attorney, but we bring CPAs on. You're going to learn why everyone should own a small business. So I hope you attend. Go to beaueckstein.com/events. I'll see you at the next one. Hey guys, Beau Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.